In the 1970s, Father Dennis McAlindon left Australia with a plane ticket for Papua New Guinea, paid for by the Catholic Church. By some measures, McAlindon is Australia's most notorious priest. There were entire government inquiries dedicated to his pattern of behaviour. Church officials were aware of abuse, and it became a problem in his Australian parish. Within months, he was on a plane to Papua New Guinea. There is a widespread pattern of abusive or allegedly abusive priests moving to one of the most vulnerable regions in the world. We're talking about at least 34 priests and missionaries going to 15 Pacific Island nations and territories throughout the region. Of those, in at least 13 cases, church officials knew that these men had been accused of, or in some cases, convicted of abuse. I travelled to Fiji for this story, where I was able to speak to several survivors about their experiences. I was trawling through thousands of pages of inquiry documents, of court records, of previous reporting on individual cases, all to build this mosaic, effectively. The Pope is currently making his first visit to a Pacific Island nation. He's spending a few days in Papua New Guinea, which is roughly a quarter Catholic, and then he's moving on to East Timor, which is 98% Catholic. And so for them, the arrival of the Pope is a huge moment. But it's also an important moment to reflect on the Church's legacy of transferring its most problematic priests over decades. We're looking at a vast region which is speckled with these tiny islands, and getting to them is extremely difficult. The remoteness of these places is extremely important because it meant that these men were going to worlds unto themselves, places where there was no oversight. And while it's really hard to identify whether or not men reoffended, because the Pacific is so devout, because the pressure on survivors not to come forward is so intense, we know that in at least 3 cases, these men reoffended once they arrived. The Vatican has repeatedly apologized for abuse and for patterns of cover-up all around the world.
In nome della Chiesa, chiedervi perdono per gli scandali.
But critics have widely panned those as insufficient. They want more than that. They want an admission of harm, and they want concrete steps to identify where harm occurred in the Pacific and to provide the support that's needed